Ladies and gentlemen, we've got season 1, episode 4 of the Classic Sports Review, and once again, we've got a good one. I've got my regular co-host, the greatest triathlete ever to come out of the city of Buffalo, New York, Glenn Paslawski. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well. We got to do something about that because I'm starting to get like paranoid here. Racing has opened up in New York State, and I got a race in a couple of weeks. And right now, my biggest fear is that I'll miss out on the podium, and someone will walk up to me and say, Glenn Paslawski, Buffalo's greatest triathlete, couldn't even get on the podium. And I'd be like, yeah, you're right. But hey, you're listening to the show. That's awesome.
But if you say it enough times, it's true. Like today,
you say 3 times.
I'll say it. I'll say it over and over. I mean, today I went out watching the Germany-England game at a bar with a friend of mine I've made here, who I've dubbed her as Barbados' fittest woman. And I told her, use that, run with it. She's part of our little group committee, which we'll promote a little bit. But if we're going to do this show, we've got to have some special guests. And this show that we're looking at is the famous tuck rule game. So you need someone from the New England point of view and someone from the Oakland point of view. From New England, Evan, you again.
Yeah, at least you're not wearing a Boca shirt this week. That's good. So.
He's Evan Nolan, the regular, my co-host in the Hall of Fame show, and we've got a special guest from the Oakland point of view, two-time Hall of Famer, the Violator, Wayne Mabry.
What's happening, guys?
Awesome to have you.
Yeah, great. So I'm pumped for this. Before we went on air, Glenn wanted me to say, like, how come I missed this game?
Well, we need to give a background story because episode 3,
I missed that
episode 2 was the Houston Buffalo game. Yeah. That whole thing was, I can't wait to get someone's outside perspective on what they were thinking when they were watching that game. And Kirk didn't see the game live.
I didn't see the game. I was driving from Burlington, Ontario to Ottawa for college. And this one, I was driving from that area back to the Toronto area because my first wife, the complete colossal bitch that she was, so that we had to do some stuff. I missed it completely, got back to watch that game, and I don't know where she is. Hope you're enjoying my house. Fuck you. Anyway.
Wow. and I thought that the problem was going to be between me and Wayne.
Yeah. We're going to end up being referees in this whole thing.
I know. I didn't expect that.
You kind of expected that. I've done shots at the wife number 1 a few times.
Continue.
Well, yes. So January 19th, 2002, we've got the divisional playoff. A lot of people actually think of this as an AFC championship, which it wasn't. Because when we look back, there's a lot of people who remember a few things, myself included, a little bit inaccurate. So this was a divisional playoff. Oakland advancing when they beat the New York Jets. Imagine that, the New York Jets in the playoffs. Like that's something that you don't think of.
Actually, the Jets won the AFC East the next year. It's the last time they won the division was 2002. So
I'm trying to even think who their quarterback might have been. Not that it really matters. Jay Fiedler. Okay.
And there's a name.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a few interesting ones. So Oakland beats the Jets to advance. New England had a bye, and we've got.
We didn't just have a bye. We also, because of 9/11, had our original bye got moved because the season got moved. So we had a bye week 17. So we played 16 straight games, had a bye, and then a bye into the playoffs.
Okay. I didn't even realize.
That's right. I can't remember who was doing the interview. Belichick, you had however many days off. How is this going to affect your game? Yes, you're right about that.
Yeah. Well, and that's sort of where we opened. Our commentators are Greg Gumbel and Phil Sims, who I could barely tell the difference between those two voices. They were kind of like bleeding into each other. And the feed that I found, I guess it's sort of a cold open. It's Bill Belichick, who didn't smile then. He didn't smile now. My God. Who is this sideline reporter? Armin, what the hell is his name?
Armin Katayan.
Yeah, I thought it was Armin Tanzarian, if you may remember that from The Simpsons.
Nice reference.
Thank you.
Hell of a reference, man. Hell of a reference.
Well, I've got a few. And here's something that hasn't changed in the last 20 years. Sideline reporters are just as useless then as they are now.
Today they're better to look at.
I suppose they are.
I know Armin had a really nice head of hair, though.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
always in play.
Always.
The gel, his gel game was top notch.
Yeah. Well, during the broadcast, Phil Simms said that he gave Armin Katayan a hat, and Katayan refused to wear it because his hair was basically his signature.
So when I was watching this game and I'm looking at the snow there on the field, actually this one's more for you, Wayne, because I figured that Glenn, you being a Buffalo guy, Evan in Boston, did you not just look at the snow and just think, man, this is packing snow?
Always that
packing
time of
snow,
year.
It's
like they brought it in. It looked like, but it didn't matter. We came for battle. That was a mindset back then. We came to do war. We'd gotten there, so we brought our A game, and of course, Bill and company, always lived up to the billing. So it was quite the battle.
So wait, for those who aren't familiar with you, I mean, like you were like one of the most iconic fans ever in terms of sports, regardless of sports. So like people have seen you. If you've watched a Raiders home game, they've seen you. Did you and the crew ever sort of like do any road games?
Yeah, we did. But, during that time, I went through wife number one, and I didn't have the funds to travel.
Okay. Yeah, wife number one usually sort of eliminates a lot of funds, don't they?
We'll go there. That's a whole episode in itself.
Well, Kirk started. Is there anything you want to get off your chest, Wayne?
No. Let's just, we know how it all turned out, and
yeah, absolutely.
I had some definite emotions running through that game, and like I said, we'll get into it as we discuss it.
So Oakland wins the toss, and this is actually something that I really found interesting. And I was trying to think, when did it really become in vogue for, if you win the toss, you're always deferring?
That was a Belichick thing that really happened, I think, with the Colts-Patriots series at the beginning of the 2000s. Because whenever they played the Colts, they would always defer to the second half with Manning. So it was probably shortly thereafter.
Okay. Yeah, because that was something I was like, and also too, like when we did the Bills-Oilers game, it's like, I always remember like as a kid, okay, of course you want to start, but now it's like, what? You don't want to start. You want to wait until the second half. You want to get that.
You hope to double dip. You hope to get that touchdown at the end of the first half, do something with the clock, and then come out, get the ball again, and just have that offense on the sideline for what would be in real time, probably half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour.
Exactly. That's the strategy behind it. And also when you have a ferocious defense, you want to keep them setting the pace and setting the tone for the game.
So Oakland starts everything at their own 32 after the kickoff. We've got, and then an introduction to this team. I forgot all about Jerry Rice being a Raider. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, the opening with the introductions was great. First of all, I was so excited to see Terry Kirby as the guy returning the kick. I was like, oh my God, I forgot about Terry Kirby. But like, you guys had what? You had Brown and Jerry Rice and Charles Woodson and Steve Wisniewski and like Eric Allen. Like that team was
stacked.
Oh my God! And we haven't even talked about the kickers too, which we'll get to. Like the probably the second greatest punter of all time in Shane Leckler, who got a lot of work
behind Ray Guy. Yes.
Yeah, who got a lot of work. And actually, I was going to ask you this later. I'm going to ask you this now, Wayne. When the Raiders drafted Janikowski in the first round, like, what was your perspective on that? Because that was such a weird thing for almost everyone else.
Well, for me, for Al to reach up and bring him in as a number one draft pick. Now, I'd watched him watching Florida State, so I knew about Jano, that Polish cannon. So it was a good move as far as field position, because that's always important. That's like that special teams, that's your third team that can set the pace for your game when either your offense or your defense isn't pulling up the slack, so to speak.
All right, so you weren't thinking like a great pick, but maybe we could have got him second or third?
Well, yeah, I did, but you don't pass on, and that's what I see a lot in recent years. They pass up on some of these great guys, because I'll make my list like I'm a scout. during every draft. And, I've always got some blue chip guys that I know are just natural dogs. And when they pass up on these guys because of whatever price that they got to pay them or whatever, that's what's hurt us in recent years. And I'm talking the last 18 to 20 years.
Recent.
Yeah, recent.
Okay. Recent. I mean, like, oh my God, you put that time frame together. We can legally have sex with it.
I've got scars for every season, brother.
Nice. Okay. You didn't like that one, Glenn. Okay.
Starting early.
Nice. Start off with the pitch to Garner, another guy I forgot all about. What a beast he was. And then we meet the New Orleans. Sorry, New England defense. Sorry. Mm-hmm. I'm a New Orleans fan. What am I going to say?
Two probable, one definite Hall of Famer and a second probable next year Hall of Famer on that team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who wasn't a starter?
He was a rookie. When he made a play in the second half, Phil Simms seemed surprised that he was who he was.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, a big star with Mike Vabrel, Teddy Bruschi. I mean, they mentioned because Bruschi had a couple of plays. Like, I didn't realize he was already a 6-year veteran at this point.
Yeah, his rookie year was the year they lost to Favre in the Packers in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Oh. So we meet the Patriots defense. I kind of wish that they sort of had like those great montages, or not the montages, those GIFs that they have now, where it's like each player just doing this or something like that. That's what I would do. I mean, like, I would sort of like make the most of it. Maybe that's the only reason I didn't go in the NFL. That and the fact I'm 5'7", and yeah. Anyway, we'll run with that.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, but you played with some stars though in college.
Well, I went to college with some stars. I didn't play. In high school, I was told I was too small to even go to the next level, which, of course, I'm like Aaron Rodgers. That put a big, huge chip. I don't know if you can see it. It's on both shoulders, but I still carry that to this day. And so that intensity you see in the stands is just a reflection of that. Because meeting the players over the years, I found out that was just straight bullshit.
So those spikes coming out of your shoulders are actually the chips.
That's the chip. You got it. My 6-pack. That's my 6-pack of chips.
Nice. So to really no surprise, I mean, the Raiders are starting rushing the ball as you would expect in these type of weather conditions, but it's not exactly it's not going everywhere. You're still feeling everything out. We got a coach's challenge, and I had to look up, like, when did coach's challenge start? So it was 1999, because I thought that was actually far more recent than that. And it's still recent enough that the Raiders win the challenge, still don't get a first down, but then the refs took away a timeout only to give it back to them later. So
that should have been the first sign that the officials are going to have a really rough game.
You got it. Absolutely, it was.
Also, that the lead official is Walt Coleman.
Never refereed another Raiders game again, I read.
No, because he would have been skinned coming in Oakland.
No doubt. So we get Shane Leckler punting the first of 17 punts.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing. I mean, they just kept tallying the punts quarter after quarter.
Oh my God. And then we see Tom Brady, and like, Tom Brady doesn't look much different other than he's lost maybe some face fat. For those getting older like myself, the face fat really helps. I mean, I'm approaching 50, and I think it actually sort of helps, but that's just me. Anyway.
Yeah, he definitely had some pudge when he came out. It was a
little bit. Yeah. A little bit, but he doesn't look much different. And it's weird listening to Phil Simms and Gumbel talk about this rookie quarterback. and just like, I don't know, they're going to get to this rookie. He's a little bit, maybe he's a little nervous. There was no nerves at all in Tom Brady that I saw.
No, he's now. If I could give him a first down with this one, he's just a gamer. And we recognize that warrior in him, even like I say, his first game in there when he replaced who was the quarterback that got knocked out?
Bledsoe.
Yeah. When he came in, it was just like when you're prepared to step in, that's how you perform. And especially us as fans looking at a professional, it's like rookie or not, get in there and do your damn job.
Yeah, and we're watching his first ever playoff game because he took over, was week 3, Evan, I think?
Yeah, he took over. Well, he got the Mo Lewis hit was week 2. So, and then he took over the rest of that game, and then he went 11-3 as a starter during the rest of that regular season. The Pats were 5-5, lost the game to that 5th loss was to the Rams, which made them not afraid of them when they played them in the Super Bowl that year. But after that Rams lost at 5-5, he won out from there. So,
So we meet the Patriots offense. Some players I haven't thought of in a long, long time.
Yeah, I'm a Patriots fan. I completely forgot Rod Rutledge was a thing. I was like, who is Rod Rutledge? Because I remember Jermaine Wiggins from East Boston, local kid, does good. I have no mental recollection of Rod Rutledge.
Well, and then I was looking at also too, then we were introduced to the Raiders defense. Like, I was so disappointed to find out that Regan Upshaw wasn't related to Gene.
Oh yeah.
Like that.
Just, we always tease him about that, you know. Yeah. Where's cousin Gene, you know? But you talk about a warrior. Now that's one of my favorite guys on that squad on the defense.
Oh wow. Okay. Interesting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've had some conversations during his career, and we'll get into some of that too.
No, absolutely. So it starts off reasonably well for New England. 20-yard reception for Redmond on the second play of the drive. But they were doing screens to start off, which I think was like 3 consecutive screens that opened up this Antoine Smith up the gut. So we're getting to the Oakland 39. So it's looking pretty good to start until we get a face mask penalty. And that was pretty much it for this drive. And this is where I think right here, we're looking early in the game where even though we've got one Hall of Fame kicker, one person in Janikowski who isn't going to be in the Hall of Fame, but in terms of his power, like you were saying, Wayne, I mean, like the Polish cannon, his accuracy wasn't there, but in terms of his length.
Absolutely. He could place it all the way downfield. Yeah. All out Ray guy without the radar on the ball, because Ray could put it exactly where he wanted it to fall.
And so I think we see just
Kirk. Yeah. I just want to say one thing that I completely forgot in this game was that Janikowski made 2 field goals as well. We always talk about Vinatieri's 2 field goals in that game, or even 3 field goals. The first one nobody talks about, but the last 2. Janikowski's kicks in this game.
Oh, for sure. But at
those conditions,
they're not going for it. You know, because they're playing super conservative before they're thinking, with the amount of snow on the ground, and we did see a bunch of slips happening, they're not allowing the 2 kickers until they necessarily have to get to that point. So they're punted. So they got as far as the Oakland 34, and or Oakland 32, and they didn't, and they went for it on 4th and 3. So rather than sort of like let Janikowski see what he could do with that, which maybe in the second half after they were sort of forced to try. So I think that's sort of like why I wanted to bring that up now.
Mm-hmm. My opinion on that was that they knew they couldn't fall behind point wise. Mm-hmm. You mentioned the consecutive screen plays. Now, from a coaching standpoint, I understood that. Now, that's a great strategy with that field condition, because footing is of the utmost important, even on a dry field. But on a snow, that tires out those defensive guys from chasing, not knowing where the play is actually going to, and when they had those backs that you just cut on a dime, that's advantage 1. So, yeah, you tire out those legs first, So I saw that coming into play early.
Yeah, no, it's, a lot of conservative play calling in the first half, which to be expected. So Oakland takes over on downs. First down completion with Brown, and then I have seen some shoulder injuries before. I've never seen anything like with Jerry Porter, and just he was doing like the Hunchback of Notre Dame with that. Like, oh my God!
Yeah, that hurt to watch.
It really did. I don't think I've ever seen that. I was trying to find out what exactly happened. Like, did he have a separated shoulder? Like,
That's what it looked like. It looked like he went down and just fell his whole body weight on his arm and then slid for 6 feet because it was all snow. And it just looked like I've seen enough people with their shoulders popped out to know that was a guy with their shoulders popping out. So
that was, and as we say on defense, that's one player down.
Yeah. So it got James Jett in the game though, who is a lot faster guy.
You know,
but on snow, I mean, does it really matter?
Well, that may be true too.
I said on the show that I did last time with when we looked at the Oilers game,
Richmond.
Well, yeah, with Richmond and yourself though. But my favorite name in football was Webster Slaughter. James Jett might be right up there too.
For a wide receiver, absolutely, he was destined to play that position.
And he had another position. If I remember correctly, Wayne, he had like world-class sprinter speed too, wasn't he? Like
absolutely, yeah. He was one of those fastest guys back then, next to Darryl Green or something.
Yeah, Darryl Green was a freak. When I was in college, I went to school in D.C. and Green was he was like 40 at that point, and they had in training they had a sprint off with all the players, and Green won at 40 as the fastest guy in the Redskins at that point, which is insane. So.
Definitely was gifted as far as that, man. Can't take that from him. Nope. And a smart defensive player to boot.
Very much so.
Well, we get another punt. New England starts at their own 21. Oh, Armin has some more stuff to say. He pretty much tells us that snow is wet and slippery. Thanks. I had no idea. That was brilliant.
I'll have to write that down for future reference.
I have a question. What was up with Gruden's visor? Like, I know he always wore a visor, but seriously, in the snow, it was weird. It was a weird choice.
It's superstitions, man. You can't deviate from that.
Yeah. You can't switch up. Yeah, I understood that perfectly well. I'm like, his head's got to be cold as hell, but he had his superstitions, and that was one of them.
Is that why Bill doesn't smile?
He actually, Bill had those muscles removed. So
all right, so New England's got that, and I'm looking at I was watching that punt, and just the way it just sort of like flops and just doesn't move. Because when we were talking to Richmond Webb last time, right? I mean, he was just saying like perfectly, like it's an oblong ball. Weird things are going to happen. Nothing weird was happening with any punt that just fell into this snow. Nothing. It just
like a baby bird landing in the nest, brother. That's
I trying to think of other times I've seen this. I don't ever remember seeing such wet snow in a game. I'm sure I have, but I wasn't. Maybe I just because I never did a show about it, so I guess I didn't pay attention too much about it.
And that's why we were saying they must have piped that in from somewhere.
Well, and then they sort of brought it.
It was good. Yeah. I was gonna say it was good snowball snow, as we found out later in the game.
Yes, our buddy Phil.
We'll definitely bring that up. I got a note on that to talk about.
There was no camera footage of that.
Oh,
I'll never know.
Yeah,
I wish. They got to use that for Troy Aikman, the worst announcer in sports. What do you think, Troy?
Yeah, there are some conversations he had that week which were just completely not credible. Like he was like, "Yeah, I was talking to Coach Gruden. And he was talking about the Patriots defense, and the first guy he brought up was, and it was Bobby Hamilton. Mm-hmm. I'm like, there's a 0% chance the first person he brought up in the Patriots defense is Bobby Hamilton."
Phil. Yeah, I love Drew Brees as my quarterback. I've got zero confidence in him as an announcer based on what I've seen before. And Evan and I have joked that he's going to do a great job for his role on Yahoo Finance.
That's kind of like having Romo up in there. And
Romo's good. I didn't think Romo was going to be this good I
like Romo.
You don't like Romo? Romo's way better as an announcer than he was a quarterback. And he's a good quarterback.
Now, there was no argument there. Now, I didn't step into that one, but
isn't Rivers going to the booth too this year?
I've heard rumors.
Come on.
I've heard rumors.
I think so.
I've heard rumors. But
it's talk.
He's got a small village to feed.
It sells a game too. I can understand. It'll sell the game. Just from his all the battles he's gone through and pretty much carrying a team on his back, pretty much, or his arm, whatever you want to call it. I could see that because that would be good conversation.
I think if any quarterback should step into the booth, it's Cap Rooney from Any Given Sunday. It's honestly what I think. I think he really sees the game. What he did to help Steeman Willie Beeman really understand the vision of the field. I think he really could be an asset in the booth. And
those fictitious Hall of Fame games, huh?
Well, you can also vote for him on the fictitious Athlete Hall of Fame, which anyway.
Cheap plug.
Yeah, it was a very cheap plug.
I've been joking with him, Glenn, that he should start a program called Shameless Self-Promotion. Just have a podcast with that name.
Nothing wrong with that.
I should. I mean, since I've started a damn fourth show, why not? Why not? Which the fourth show you can all watch. It's called This Crap Was on National Television, where episode 1, I look at the Star Wars Holiday Special. Coming soon on YouTube, Spotify, and every place you can listen to this crap.
Brought to you by Sponsorship Pending.
Sponsorship. Well, I got approached by Manscaping, so that might be fun.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, so Evan, if that happens, you have to talk about your balls.
I'm just glad I get paid so much for this.
Yes. Those podcast royalties are going to fund our retirement.
Yeah. Moving on from male balls, we've got leaf blowers.
Yeah.
I guess they were leaf blowers. I've never.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were.
Okay. I was wondering if they were sort of like heat, like.
I think they're just leaf blowers because Mark Henderson was not available to clean the lines. So.
Right. The usual guy, yeah.
Nice. But we got 3 and out, and Ken Walter, I forgot all about him. He had a pretty good game too. You don't want your punter to have a good game, I suppose, but
they both 17 punts, 18 punts,
17.
Well, they started 0-7 on third down, so he had a lot of opportunities.
Right.
Yeah.
So we got a punt there starting in the Oakland 30. That goes nowhere. The only thing of this drive was a Wisniewski penalty. Leckler punts again. Start off on the New England 19. Pats go 3 and out. Another punt.
This was Wisniewski's last game. They said on the broadcast this was actually.
Oh, was it? Okay, I missed that.
Yeah. So he had tried to retire the year before, and Gruden convinced him to do one more year, and then there's nothing they could do to convince him to come back in another year. So.
Then we got an interfered fair catch.
Yes.
Yeah, this was huge.
Jerron Cherry.
Yeah. Resulting in a 15-yard penalty. So back to Garner. Go to the New England 38. End of the quarter, 0-0. Before we go any further, NFL.com or the NFL named this as the 15th greatest game of all time.
The what?
Is this the 15th most famous game, or is this?
Wait, 5th or 15th?
15th.
Okay, I was gonna say 5th. That's way too high.
Well, yeah, it's 15 way too high because in terms of an actual game itself, in terms of notoriety and for what we're looking at this for in historical perspective, sure. But the first half, in the first quarter or second quarter, we're not exactly embroiled with excitement here.
You're absolutely. No. And I remember what I was doing for this game. Fantasy Football League had already ended, and usually I invite the guys over, uncle, cousin, friends come over, we pick a weekend to watch both games. And we had watched the earlier game, had our pizza, our beer and whatnot, and we're still sitting back in our chairs and loungers. And I'd look over during parts of this game, and there were people falling asleep. This game was that exciting where it was hard to keep everyone up and awake to watch this game. That first quarter, that first half was just not entertaining football.
No, it really wasn't. So, I mean, I think in terms of history, this is a game we should talk about in terms of overall excitement. 15 all time. It
was kind of like 3 yards in a cloud of snow dust. Yeah. That's how it was to me.
Yeah.
But we get a little bit of excitement coming here. The Raiders are driving. A couple notable plays. Ty Law I don't know. I shouldn't say shows up. He was just phenomenal. Just clearly the best defensive player that I thought, like you guys had, for New England. Just the way he's just whoever he's covering, like, man, and that he's covering legends, two Hall of Famers. That
secondary. That was one of the things about that Patriots team. That secondary, like Otis, my man Smith on the outside, who used to go back and forth between the Jets and Patriots every other year. He was on the other team. And,
seems like it.
And T-Buck, Terrence Buckley. Buckley, like the three of them. Buckley was just a big, like the first prototypical big third cornerback. Like, and then you had Malloy as well, who again highly underrated. Not ever going to be a Hall of Famer, but one of the shortlist for best safeties of his era. That secondary is really the strength of that team. So
from there, then Jerry Rice gets into the game and it gets his first completion, and he exceeds now in this play 2,000 yards. And they put up a graphic. He's got 2,006 playoff yards. He's going to finish his career with 2,245 playoff yards. To put it in perspective, Julian Edelman, who's number 2 all time, is 1,442. Wow. Oh my God.
Jerry Rice might have been good.
Newsflash.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Evan, you've got
and remember now, and remember we got him at the end of his career, basically. So, to me, he was playing on one leg and still faster than most.
Yeah.
And then did he still move on to the Seahawks after that?
Yeah, the Seahawks afterwards.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So he still had something left in the tank.
That's one of those weird jersey things you see. Like,
yeah, it didn't look good.
No, like Joe Namath as a Ram, or
Willie Mays as a Met.
As a Met, yeah. So.
Oh God. And then that graphic just blew me away, because I knew Edelman was number 2. I didn't realize it was this far behind.
And think of how many playoff games Edelman played in. I mean, again, he was injured a lot, but he was in basically 3 playoff games every single year.
We talk about unbreakable records. This might be.
Oh, Jerry Rice's records?
Jerry Rice's record. I think it's possible to break his record for receiving yards. But playoff yards?
Probably not. Touchdowns? Probably not.
I mean, how far is Fitzgerald from his regular season yards? It's only like, it's not that far at this point.
Well, we're also going to be adding an extra game now, which is going to.
Well, that also makes that
whack.
Yeah.
Which. And Frank Gore's not going to retire. So, I mean,
but is he ever going to score another touchdown?
Yeah. Le'Veon Bell, your career is done. But anyway. Oh, my God. Then we get our first score of the game, James Jett. Again, I love this name, James Jett. That is such a great name. And, of course, he's a wide receiver. Touchdown, 7-0 Oakland.
His first touchdown of the season.
Was it? Okay.
It was his first touchdown of the season, yeah.
So New England gets the ball back, but it doesn't go well. I think this is the only interception of the game. Johnny Harris picks it off. It was okay, yeah. So
he's got bad overthrow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Brady might. I'm a little concerned about Brady's future here after watching.
His accuracy.
Yeah, a little bit.
At that point, he was like 4 of 9 or 4 of 10 for 38 yards and a touchdown. Or not a touchdown, and an interception. So.
But nothing really happens out of that. 3 and out. Leckler punts again. The snow is just crazy. And we have to bring that up because with this punt, we've got our first real mind fart of the game. With Derek Gibson just allows a touchback.
Yes.
He just couldn't
find the goal line.
No, I mean, and with everything sort of going there, I mean, you could have looked up left, I suppose, because there's the orange pylon, but
or he could have just not got greedy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, you're trying to be precise on a play where weather conditions are not there for you to be that intricate on where you specifically want to down the ball. Just get it down and pin them back, and that let New England off the hook.
Yeah, but again, nothing really happened there with that because we get one. Antoine Smith gets a first down, but it goes again just the weather conditions and conservative play calling. This goes nowhere. Another punt.
Can I just say something about Antoine Smith?
Please.
Antoine Smith had the least amount of like ability to break or to like juke somebody out in the history of any running back. But this game was perfect for him because nobody could stop.
No, he was a big boy.
He kept moving forward, they would just slide by. But Antoine Smith, an okay running back, was great for us for those 2 seasons, and then was instantly replaceable with Corey Dillon. So
that's kind of like our Tyrone Wheatley. He was never going to juke you either. Just straight ahead, 2 or 3 yards, but he's going to leave a lick on you. That was his trademark.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing we really of note of this of the Oakland drive here is just a brilliant sack here by Brewski. And again, so we don't really go any further with that. 3rd and long, Gandon rushes, but that goes nowhere. A punt.
Oh, a punt. We haven't talked about that.
Yeah. So New England's got that again on the 28, and we got nothing with that. Another 3 and out.
Boring game.
Yeah,
Real
most exciting game in the history of all games. This is it. Jesus.
There was that 6-3 game I think the Jets played where the total offense was, I believe, 110 yards between the 2 teams in a rainstorm. That had to be up there as well.
I could just do 2 hours on the butt fumble. Like that would just be Mark Sanchez.
That is Vince Wilfork's tape for the Hall of Fame. Just so you know, the butt fumble, forcing the butt fumble should just be Vince Wilfork's thing.
For the Hall, yeah. But I guess his son's not going to be giving the speech.
No, his son's not going to be giving anything. I don't think so.
Oh Jesus! Well, my God, how do you steal from Vince Wilfork? It's your dad. What are you doing? Sorry, I just wanted to jump in there. That's. So we got another punt. This goes nowhere. Garner rushes for a 1st down. 3 plays later, we got a tackle for loss and a punt. And again, just watching these punts go nowhere.
Where there was a fumble on one of them on one of Troy Brown's returns, right?
Yeah, but it was recovered.
Yeah, like Larry Izzo, the other our first real special teams ace in a long line of them, with a couple important fumble recoveries in this game.
And you know, Kurt, with the weather conditions, and when that ball is cold, it doesn't travel as far anyway. I don't care.
That's true.
How strong your leg is. Once it gets in the air, it's just like a brick.
Yeah. But I think just also watching just plop in the snow. That's snowman snow. I mean, just building stuff like that's stuff you dream about when you're 8 on those snow days, you know, which I guess with COVID, every day was a snow day for the kids. I don't know. I suppose.
Felt like it.
Yeah. Well, Evan, how many days did your kids miss school?
This year, we had in Chicago here. We had, I guess, what would have amounted to 3 snow days, and the first one, kids still went to school because they're home, but they let them have the next 2. They're just like, it's nice out, just go run around. So
what has COVID done for snow days? With all the remote learning, it's like, is there going to be snow days in the future?
It's a good question.
These children are going to be robbed of that pleasure of sitting listening to the radio, hoping their school gets called or their school district gets called, and feeling that joy that they got the day off. That's going to be robbed from them.
You know, they'll be talking about those were the good old days when we had the snow days.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, when he's asking, what's a radio?
Yeah. And Glenn, so I grew up in a town called Winchester, Massachusetts, and so we'd have to wait forever because they'd go alphabetically through the towns to close.
Oh, tell me about it. I went to Catholic school, St. Andrews, and then
you guys
St.
were
Francis.
After the towns.
So I was at the S's.
But so they had to go through town by town, and there's another town in Massachusetts called Winchendon, which comes right before Winchester.
You get all excited.
So much. Because they always canceled school and we rarely did. So every time we're like winch and then we're like, no.
Just the rug pulled right out from under you.
And we go to someone else. So
was that your Shelbyville?
That Shelbyville is borders Springfield, which borders the 4 towns border Springfield. Nice. Delaware, Maine, Florida, and Arizona.
Well, it looks like we get something maybe from New England, but it doesn't. We got a pass, biggest play of the game at this point, 20-yard pass to Brown, up at the Oakland 45, 9 yards to Jermaine Williams, but then Wiggins, sorry. And then it stalls again. And the boos are raining down as it sort of ends. The Patriots are booed off the field as the Raiders get the ball back and just kneel. At this point, as you're watching this, so Evan, Wayne, what are you feeling right now? If you remember, like, as your chances, like, I know what's going to happen. And I'm thinking, man, New England's not looking good. I'm trying to put myself in the moment.
And me personally was trying to psych myself up that, okay, they've been sparring each other back and forth. Now we're going to put our foot down, and I thought our running game would be more dominant.
Yeah, I have to say Brady's numbers were not something exciting at that point. And like I said, our running backs were Antoine Smith and J.R. Redmond and Patrick Pass, I guess, as well, although he did mostly kick returns. And that wasn't exactly a murderer's row of running backs. So, I mean, I think we were happy. It was a sloppy game, if I remember correctly, because I was over at my buddy Ash's house at this point with my friends. I think we're just happy that we got out of there 7-0 and that it had to be better in the second half.
Yeah, given those weather conditions, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, halftime ends. We got Armin. My note is Armin is useless, so I don't remember what he said.
Oh, he is. But, I wish we would have had a full game edition of this game because, I mean, the halftime crew, I have no recollection of Randy Cross, Mike Ditka, Jerry Glanville, and Jim, Hello Friends, Nance being the halftime show.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't even write down notes of who that was. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that stuck out along the same lines as America Online being a Super Bowl sponsor for their webpage.
When the Patriots were bad, Jerry Glanville did the Patriots games color commentating on national TV like every single week. He was like their fifth guy for CBS, and so he always our it was like Patriots, Bengals, Jerry Glanville, and I can't remember who the other guy was. They're like, oh my God, it's Jerry Glanville again.
That's as bad as us. Hey, that's as bad as us getting Dan Fouts. And anytime we played the Chargers, man, it was just like, come on.
Ian Eagle and Dan Fouts.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that if that was an electoral college that in that halftime booth, it would go Republican. I could be wrong.
Possibly.
Yeah. Mike, of course, as a Saints fan, I hate Mike Ditka. The dumbest trade.
Well, how did you feel about that trade for Ricky Williams?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, let's trade everything to move up one spot. That's a great idea.
And then the picture with the wedding dress.
Yeah, you got to put that in there. Yeah.
The only thing dumber.
Look at Kirk go. I love this.
Yeah, well, there's one thing dumber, and that's Ricky saying, hey, Master P, do you want to be my agent?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to sign with somebody who knows absolutely nothing. Oh, yeah, that's going to be a great idea. Yeah, no, well, we're going to make this all incentive laden. All you have to do is just do exactly what Terrell Davis did. That's it. And you'll get paid the same. That's all you got to
do. Going back to the game, they actually did bring up that Brewski had signed a new deal in the offseason that he negotiated himself.
With Master P?
No, but with the Patriots. Yeah, he may have signed a separate deal with Master P. I don't know, but he negotiated every deal with the Patriots on his own. So
Master P, former Toronto Raptor.
Did not know that.
Oh,
yeah. Well,
that's a good nugget.
I think he got to play a couple preseason games. Yeah. All right, so Pat.
But speaking of Brewski though, that was a smart linebacker to me. I watched him also in Arizona, and I just loved his, for lack of a better term, field generalship. Even with a smallish linebacker, this guy was like a tomcat all over the place.
If you take Brady out of the equation and say outside of Brady, who is the most popular or is the best Patriot during the whole last 20 years? A few people might say Edelman at this point from recency bias, but the vast majority is it's Brewski's the second guy. Even though he's never going to make the Hall of Fame, we understand that. Like when he was up for the Patriots Hall of Fame, they put up 2 people who had never been nominated before because it wasn't worth it. It was like Brewski, and we'll give 2 other people a shot, but he still got like 90% of the vote. He is super, super popular in New England.
Who are the other 2? Do you remember?
I can look it up. It's on this computer. Go ahead and talk, and I'll find it for you.
Okay. All right. So New England starts, and it's a lot like how they started the first half in their first offense. Cut pair of screens to Edwards, 9 yards, and then another first down right in Oakland territory. So they're starting off really, really good. A reverse to Brown, though, tackle for loss for 9 yards, which a gimmick play right here. I mean, it's ballsy, but
again, those conditions.
Yeah,
absolutely. We were like, what the hell was that about?
Yeah.
You know?
The other
and
2,
we're looking at like you guys are wasting downs with all this fancy stuff. Just plow ahead, straight ahead, and go attack them.
And the other 2 up against Brewski were former coach Chuck Fairbanks, who's never been nominated again, and underrated offensive lineman who eventually got in as a Veterans Committee nominee, Leon Gray.
Oh, so, I love that guy.
Yeah, Leon Gray was great, but he had never been nominated before. It was more just, hey, let's get him up there and up against Brewski. Fairbanks has never been back, so.
Well, we get Patton sort of now into the game because he was pretty quiet in the first. I don't think he even had a catch.
He had no receptions in the first half.
Well, he gets off of the bang, 20 yards on a play action to the Oakland 30. Patton again, so we get to the Oakland 9. So this is the best sort of they've done. Smith gets to the 5, and they go for it twice in the end zone, but. No.
He threw to Rod Rutledge, who was not a person. It didn't work because Rod Rutledge, to my memory, never existed.
well, that fictitious person didn't catch shit.
No, well, it was also over. So.
Yeah, and we get Vinatieri for a field goal, 23 yards. So 7-3 Oakland, 8:23 to play in the third.
And I think this is where they were talking about Vinatieri, again, him being early on in his career, but I didn't realize that he went to West Point and then dropped out and then went to South Dakota State.
No, South Dakota State, yeah. Well, I think my favorite thing about Vinatieri is, and if you've heard the story before, I'm sorry, but when what's his name? Last Stand, Wounded Knee. I can think of his name right now. General Custer.
Okay.
When General Custer went out and everybody he had with him got killed, he left one person behind, his bugler, to call have someone, and that was Adam Vinatieri's great grandfather. Okay.
I did believe it was
Adam Vinatieri.
No, well, Vinatieri's old, but he ain't that old. Actually, Vinatieri just retired. Do you know who he took over for when he got the Patriots job? Who he beat out for that job?
No.
Matt Barr, also known
as.
I
think they did mention that during the broadcast.
The kicker for the '79 Steelers championship. So you go directly from Matt Barr to Vinatieri, which is like 40 years of time. It's crazy how long he was in there. So
yeah, the Barr family kicking company. Yeah, I remember those guys.
Yep.
We had one ourselves.
Yep.
All right, so Oakland starts on their own 37, and it's a good drive, converting to Tim Brown for 16 yards, then right to Jerry Rice for 10. Gannon's doing really, really good. Mm-hmm. Actually, I want to sort of like talk about Gannon for a bit. Raiders fans have been pushing Jim Plunkett a bit for the Hall of Fame. Wayne, I think Rich Gannon's actually a better choice in some ways, statistically. I know Plunkett's got the 2 Super Bowls, but I always thought Gannon was a special player.
He was to me. I could say I remember watching him in that KC Red, and I hated him. But just how he could manipulate our defensive guys. So we saw that when he put the black jersey on, and I'm just like, man. Why didn't we get this guy earlier? But like to talk about field generalship, and I heard it from players that I've questioned myself about him. He would sit your ass straight in the huddle, and he ran the show, and that's what you pay that quarterback for. So, and his knowledge of the game was impeccable.
I honestly think, and I certainly want opinions here from all of you. I think Gannon is one of the most which is weird to say for a Raider, because there's always the Raider bias and whatnot, but I think he's one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks of the last 25 years. I really think so.
I mean, he was an MVP.
Yeah, but we don't talk about him. And why?
Dexter Jackson. I mean, honestly, if
I guess the year after is sort of the answer to that.
If the Raiders win that Super Bowl, everything's different for him.
True.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
Absolutely, I believe that too.
Right now, he's doing super good. Another thing for Rice. Law. Oh my God, Ty Law. I loved watching Ty Law in this game. Mm-hmm. I guess because I'm always watching Saints games, and you just don't focus on other players as much as you really should. Am I wrong here? Is like Ty Law like the best defensive player in this game, and that's a game that includes Charles Woodson. In this game,
Woodson was super good this game.
Yeah,
but he was really good
in this vacuum.
Here's how good Woodson was in this game. I'm gonna go for the Raider here for a second. Woodson was so good that they kept throwing at Eric Allen, who's been a semifinalist for the last bunch of years. Yeah. Like if you have to throw at a guy who I don't know if Eric Allen's ever gonna make it, but a guy who is at least a semifinalist is your choice. That means that other guy is pretty darn good. But Law,
I guess maybe I'm also sort of biased here when I'm looking at Law covering two Hall of Fames.
True. Yeah.
And how good would this game have been if it wasn't snowing?
Oh, we wouldn't be even probably having this discussion if it wasn't for the weather.
No, we wouldn't. We'd be picking something else.
If it weren't snowing, I'm willing to bet that the Raiders win this game easy.
I hate to say it, but you might have seen a really big game from Brady.
It's also possible.
As much as I hate to say that.
As much as I hate to say that. Bill Belichick wouldn't smile. That's the only thing we know for sure. And I'm going to talk a bit more about that later. But the drive stalls, and then we have Janikowski going for a 38-yarder field goal, which at the time when we're watching this and we're watching all the conservative play calling and going for it, it's like, oh God, he's going to try to go for this. And we know what's going to happen. But at the time, putting myself in that moment, and like you mentioned earlier, Evan, the Janikowski.
It was an impressive kick.
Oh yeah. In those conditions?
He made it really easy.
Mm-hmm. And I think it also set the tone. Janikowski doing that, I think, inadvertently sort of set it up for Belichick. Like, okay, we can do this. Going the other way. I do.
Because he's taking notes. Definitely, he's taking notes like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I mean, if I've got confidence in my kicker, we can probably do that. Why not? Because that was the first time where they really went for any kind of playing this part. But yeah, Janikowski doesn't get, I think, a lot of, because he was only a Pro Bowler once, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, that I remember.
I have to look that up.
Yeah, so I think only the one time, but it's not like anyone ever said, I'm sure as a Raider fan, you never thought, we really got to improve our kicking game.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe accuracy.
I liked his accuracy as far as a field goal kicker. Now, and like I say, he would try like 50 yards and 60 yards was nothing to him with that cannon he had. But when you get to a point where you got to rely on your kicking game, you're in trouble anyway.
If only he had the accuracy of former Vanderbilt kicker Sarah Fuller.
Oh man. You cannot stay away from that topic. Yeah, he was a Pro Bowler.
100%. She has a 100% accuracy.
Can we get her on the show?
Oh yeah. She'll, as long as she doesn't listen to past shows that I've done.
So he was a one-time Pro Bowler in 2011. How many times do you think Vinatieri was a Pro Bowler, by the way?
4? 3. Okay.
3. Okay, I was going to say 3. But what's incredible is that these two kickers played for a long time, and Sebastian retired in 2019, and obviously Vinatieri just recently hung them up. Which the longevity of the kickers in this game.
And Leckler too. Leckler was around until 2017.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You think?
Yeah, they were saying he had too much white hair in his beard, so he was, they were trying to go younger at that time. And I personally hated that move, getting rid of him.
Do you think Leckler makes a Hall of Fame? Any of you guys?
I was just gonna ask that.
Well, it's our other show, so
I don't know, man.
He might be like one of those finalists, but I don't think he'll ever get in.
If there is a second punter, whoever gets in, is it Leckler?
Yeah, but at the same time, though, look how long it took Ray Guy, because it's the same problem that I'm going to say that Vinatieri will have. Adam Vinatieri will go down in history as if not one of the best kickers. And a lot of people say he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. But at what point are you ever going to look at the list of those who are eligible for the Hall of Fame and say, yeah, he's one of the top 5 guys? You're not.
No.
And it'll happen. I mean, Morton Anderson got it.
Morton Anderson, yeah.
It will, but it's gonna be a struggle. But Vinatieri will be eligible a year. If he played just one game in 2020, it would have been a lot harder to get in first ballot, because he's going to be eligible a year earlier than the Breeze, Rivers. Who else? What's the other big names? Witten.
Yeah.
This year's
crazy.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, he's going to be up against Eli in that first ballot.
Oh.
So and as if anyone listens to our show, both Kirk and I have and we have my thing on Eli is that Eli at no point in his career was one of the top 8 quarterbacks in the league.
He wasn't.
He made some Pro Bowls, but at no point was he really one of the top 8 quarterbacks in the league. He does have 2 championships. I really wanted him to lose that last game so he'd have a losing record for his career. And his streak, honestly, the worst thing for him is his streak was broken. He was benched for Geno Smith, which is also probably not the best.
One of the highlights.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Geno Smith, when he started that game, became the first African-American quarterback ever to start a game for the Giants, making them the last team ever to have a African-American quarterback. But the Patriots.
Because you asked me that last week. I was going to guess the Bears. Did I guess the Bears?
I don't know if the Bears actually have quarterbacks.
Wow, Evan.
Well, I'm a punky QB. They call McMahon.
He had to be superimposed on that. He wouldn't do it with the rest of the team.
I will maintain, and I'm going to blame you, the Chicago Bears. Yes, you did the Super Bowl shuffle, and because of all you assholes, every player thinks they can rap. No, you can't. Stop. Sorry, I just wanted to do that.
Yeah, that was a trend following that. That was a trend for quite a few years.
Okay, if you haven't seen this, I encourage everyone to sort of YouTube the Dodgers baseball boogie.
Wow,
it is so bad, and you've got it was Pedro Guerrero. Baseball would be very, very good to me. He really did.
Oh God, no.
Yes, it is awful, and you've got all. I have never seen a bunch of athletes look more like dorks in my life. The Dodgers baseball boogie, you're welcome, and I'm sorry.
But you know what, Evan? It was all about that boogie. It was about getting that boogie on to some music. That was the thing.
Yeah, that was indeed. But
I guess moving on.
Sorry. Going back though, if it came down to Manning and Vinatieri, because I don't think Manning's first ballot Hall of Famer either. Who do you think is more likely to get voted in? If you're just doing that, I picked Manning intentionally because I don't think he's going to get in first ballot. So who do you think would be more to be picked?
You know, if only we had a committee to discuss this. Oh wait,
we do.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, we do. I don't know.
Because that class is going to have Keachley.
Oh,
Vernon Davis, Eric Weddle, Marshall Yanda, Travis Frederick, Lorenzo Alexander, and Manning. and now Vinatieri. So, I mean, Keachley, I think, is a clear first ballot. Yanda could very well be a first ballot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it just speaks to
how you feel about
hard,
Weddle.
how hard it is to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in comparison to every other hall that there is.
Oh yeah.
It is so colossally hard. When you,
I would like to get a printout of that criteria, you know.
I don't think they have a criteria. I mean, they're like baseball will say that you've got to be in there for 10 years. Basketball, we don't know what they think. We don't even know who's on their committee. It's so messed up that if you search when so-and-so is eligible, my site comes up.
Yeah, I actually just typed into Google 2024 NFL Hall of Fame eligibles, and your site was the first two.
No way. Okay.
Yeah. Nice.
So 2025 was Sports Illustrated, but 2024 is not in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, look at that. And see that, Dad? I did make it.
Manscaping better hop on soon. Those prices are going to go up.
Yeah, that's sweet manscaping money.
Exactly. And I'm one hairy bastard. So
yeah.
I'm down here to Barbados. I mean, we got to spice things up. It's been 17 years with wife number 2. Not that there's going to be a wife number 3, I swear.
No.
Does she listen to the show?
No.
Good thing. That's a very good thing.
No, she doesn't. Thank God. I guess moving on. All right. So the Patriots.
Where are we? 10-3 Oakland?
Yeah, 10-3 Oakland, 4:14 to play. The Patriots go 3 and out. So I would imagine things here in Foxborough, we're getting a little bit scared. Oakland starts on their own 49, 2 batted balls. And then we saw one of them by a rookie named Richard Seymour. I wonder how his career is going to pan out.
A future Raider, Richard Seymour.
Yeah, absolutely. Which was a shock to us, but hey,
shock to us too. Yeah, shock to us too. I was like, wait, we just traded Richard Seymour? What happened? So.
Well, that's the brilliance of Bill Belichick getting rid of a player too early as opposed to too late.
As opposed to too late, absolutely.
But he was still made the Pro Bowl twice in Oakland.
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't like when they got
you're right.
Bledsoe or Laurie Malloy. Like, he was still a good player for a while. So
we were saying it had to have been about contract money. It had to have been.
Yeah. That's all I can think of. Like, the only other one I could compare to that is Chandler Jones when we traded him to Arizona. For a washed up offensive lineman and a bucket of balls. But that was because Chandler Jones is like wandering around shirtless, turning himself into a police station in Foxborough because he'd had like some bad drug interaction, and that was the end of that.
Who was the Raider who messed up at the Super Bowl the year after?
The Raider that messed up in the Super Bowl.
The first one comes to me is the Falcon in '98 with.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, the Walter Payton Man of the Year. I can think of his name. Who was with the Falcons and then got caught.
I think it was a Raider. Okay.
Stripper the day before the Super Bowl. I can't think of his name. Eugene.
Eugene Robinson.
Yeah, he was a Walter Payton Man of the Year, and then got caught with a stripper the night before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but you can still be philanthropic and be with strippers. I don't see why the two are.
It's just that the problem was he left his wife and 3 kids back at the hotel.
Right. Absolutely.
But if he would have took the wife and 3 kids, that would have been worse.
certainly would have cost more.
Yeah, it definitely would have cost more. Absolutely.
I think the kids would have been. I think he was responsible. Okay, moving on.
Wow. There isn't an FEC for podcasts, right?
No,
not at all.
Thank God. Actually, every show that I've ever done, it's gotten a clean rating. I don't know how. There should be that E right next to it. There's not. So after the 2 batted balls, Rice 22 yards to the New England 29, but it doesn't go any further than that. But Janikowski 45-yard field goal.
Another impressive kick.
If I was a Raiders fan, I'd be upset about that non-call on Richard Seymour roughing the passer. Mm-hmm. I just thought, I mean, here we are at 2001, and that play's starting to get called more often.
Yeah,
And
definitely so. Yeah, but like I say, that non-call was like par for the course that day.
Right. And just going back to the game, the Bills Oilers game, and I can't remember. I think it was probably a Bruce Smith roughing the passer that did get called, and I thought it was fairly similar to what Richard Seymour did to Gannon, but it just didn't get called. And I thought that was a big non-call.
Well, now you can sneeze on the quarterback.
Well, when Tom Brady gets tackled below the knees and out for the season, they got to change the rules to protect quarterbacks all of a sudden.
We'll get to a rule change soon. So then,
by the way, if Bernard Pollard is ever anywhere near any Patriot, like I just fear for that person's safety. So Bernard Pollard was the guy who took out Brady. He's also the guy when Edelman blew out his knee in a preseason game. It was Bernard Pollard. Like that dude is just deadly to the Patriots. If you want to beat the Patriots, just get him on your team, just somewhere on the sideline. Someone will run off the field, run to Bernard Pollard, and rip their Achilles.
I think what that was, Evan, he was trying to make a name for himself as a hitman at that time. You know? Yeah.
Well, the next drive for New England, it doesn't go that far, but it does sort of set the tone for later, as we got a Patton reception for 14 yards and a Wiggins reception for 22. It does stall at the Oakland 35 after Brady's sacked.
Is that the drive with the double pass that Patton drops and Wiggins catches and
yes.
Yeah. That was an interesting. It was a fairly heads up.
No, it's not.
Or it's not? Okay.
No, that's coming later.
Jumping the gun.
That's coming later. I actually have notes for this one, Evan. Who knew? I never have.
You don't do notes for all your shows?
No.
So I should feel privileged that you do notes for our show.
Look, the last show I did about number one songs, and you can get this. It's how did this go to number one? Where we looked at Down Under by Men at Work. I had 3 Aussies on, and I was completely obliterated. Yeah, not that I've ever
must listen to podcast.
Not that I've ever done a show drunk with you, Evan.
Don't want to mess up the manscaping money, my friend.
No.
There you go. Yeah. Because I'm waiting on the boogie video.
I'm telling you, Jerry Royce trying to do a dance.
Oh no!
Yes,
you know what?
He's dancing, Jerry. Yeah.
I might have to look that up right now.
Yeah, because Jerry, like Jerry Royce, who looked like he was 50 when he was 30. Like it, I think he had, if I remember right, I think he had like a lame jacket, just like trying to do this.
Wow.
Yeah. For those just listening, you didn't miss anything. You don't want to see that. Very, very white.
Or you definitely do.
Or you, yeah. Brady sacked as we're starting the fourth quarter. Incomplete pass.
Sorry,
drive over.
That sack was an awesome defensive play.
Mm-hmm.
Like Brady had zero chance of doing anything on that play. That was just well designed, perfect defensive play on that sack.
Absolutely. So we got another punt. Oakland starts on their own 20. Garner was pretty close to getting 100 all-purpose yards, and in this condition, it's very, very impressive. But they can't get past. That's the only drive of note. They punt, and then a very interesting drive for New England. So they start on their own 35. Patton 14-yard reception. Both he and I didn't get the name of the person who was covering him. I think it was Allen, but I'm not sure. Slipped. So they both slipped on the play.
No, it was your third defensive back with the weird name.
Okay.
Who was your third defense corner back then, Wayne?
Let me think. Wow. I'm drawing a blank too, man.
I can think that's who it was because they both slipped. And by the way, Patton had over 100 yards receiving in the second half of this game.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty impressive.
I barely remembered him.
I mean, Patton and David Givens were like the beginning of the Patriots as having absolutely no-name receivers who somehow just rip people to shreds. And then we thought eventually we could get away with Rashae Caldwell as our best wide receiver, and that fell apart. So, which led to Randy Moss, fortunately.
Right.
And so Brady's just on fire here. Then 8 yards to Falk, 2 yards to Wiggins. And this is the deflection thing where Brown for 8 yards, but Wiggins that's coming later. Brown for 8. Wiggins again for another 2 yards. So we're on the Oakland 31. Patton for 11 to get to Oakland 20. So we got 6 straight receptions. Wiggins then catches the deflected ball off Patton, getting to the 15. Patton again to the 10. Wiggins for another 3, and then Brady rushes.
I don't think he's ever looked more graceful in his life.
Well, there was a game against the Bears where he faked Brian Urlacher out of his shoes, which is the only time he's ever faked anyone out.
Two highlight runs to put on his Hall of Fame tape.
It took him 19 years to get to 1,000 yards rushing. That was his goal for his last year with the Patriots, was he wanted to make 1,000 yards rushing. And he finally did it in the last year he was here in New England.
My note here is I finally found something that Tom Brady can't do, which is spike the ball.
Slippery conditions.
Yeah.
It was, but it was all klutzy and it didn't matter. It was Tom Brady and it was still awesome. And who gives a shit when you get a touchdown?
Also, Gronk was only 11 at this point and hadn't come around to teach him how to spike.
Oh my God.
Teach him how to spike. You got it. Absolutely.
That's crazy. All right, just a side note. When Carl Nassib came out and got a bit of a press for being the first openly gay player, doesn't he look like Gronk? Kinda.
Yeah. Maybe a little.
I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying that. Holy
That's what I was gonna ask.
He looks like a mini Gronk.
I'm pulling up a picture of him.
Yeah,
like a little bit. He does look a little bit like him. He looks like he could be a cousin.
That was sort of like what I was thinking.
He can't be a Gronkowski because all 4 of them have played for the Patriots, and since he hasn't played for the Patriots yet,
including the dad.
Yes. So
at this point now we got 13-10 Oakland. This has the momentum has changed completely, but Oakland still has. They've got this running game with Garner, and so you're watching this. So 7:41 to play. Oakland starts at their own 30, and they're just eating clock, which is what you expect. You expect them to do. Garner for 9, then Crockett for 1, just keeping everything on the ground, which you should do. But they ate about 3 minutes, got stalled, and have to punt with 3:48 to go.
Yeah. So the problem there was that. The last 2 plays of that drive were both incompletions, correct?
Right. Yeah.
That's the fatal mistake right there. If they run that ball twice, the Patriots have to call those timeouts.
Right. Absolutely.
And this whole game, the Patriots run out of time, I think. If they just run that ball, even once, they might have run out of time.
That's what you call getting cute, Evan. That's what we were saying. Why did you get cute right there? You know?
Yeah, because you're right. Yeah, 2 incomplete pass on 2nd and 11. So then I don't know if I guess they were sort of like going for it, just trying to put that nail on top.
It's second 11, just run it. And then if you have to throw for 3rd down, that's fine. But you have to run it at least one of those 2 plays to make the Patriots call at least one of the timeouts, so that the 2-minute warning is the last chance they have, and you're going to have time after that to do something else. So,
because we're going to see that pretty shortly, because New England gets the ball back, but they go nowhere with this 3 incomplete passes and a punt. During this, Phil Simms gets pelted with a snowball, which I thought they were behind glass. How's this happening? I checked my notes. Apparently it was a young Evan Nolan who was responsible.
I can neither confirm nor deny my appearance at that game. I didn't say where my friend Ash's house was.
Okay. How is he out? How is this even possible?
Well, my favorite part was I saw the guy who did it, and I don't know, it's just weird. The whole thing was.
What was he gonna do? Jump over the booth and start attacking the guy?
Well, that's what I was wondering. Okay, why even mention it? I got pelted with a snowball. I see the guy. What? Are you trying to tell us that you're a tough guy? You're going to get him later? No, you're not. You're doing nothing. You're going to stay there and do your job.
And call for security when it's time to leave.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I mean, he could have pulled the Joe Girardi. Come on, knowing that nothing was going to happen. Big tough guy Joe Girardi. Sorry. That was also from last week.
Mm-hmm. So Oakland gets the ball back with 2:41 to play. as a Raiders fan, you got to feel pretty good at this point.
That first run by Garner, he
8
was
yards.
Yeah, but he was dead to rights in the backfield and gained 8 yards out of what should have been a 4-yard loss.
Yeah, right. And New England calls their first timeout, and it's 2nd and 2. You're scared because you know you've got to call timeouts the next 2. Which
you're scared because there's at least a timeout for the 2-minute warning at this point.
Yeah.
So if they get it, then it's a problem because no matter what, you're on the other side of 2-minute warning. But if they don't get it this run and they get it the next time, I think you have even a bigger problem because now you can't really stop the clock. You're more scared of them getting on 3rd down than 2nd.
Garner gets the ball next, so it just goes 1 yard. And then I had a note from before. The commentators were mentioning before, Garner couldn't do 3 in a row. Like he just got too tired, just the way he was built just for those short bursts, but he just wasn't built to do it again, which sets up why they go to Zach Crockett.
Yeah, well, the 2nd down play was the one where Bruschi stopped him after he jumped over the line, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a hell of a hit by Bruschi.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. That's a man hit right there.
Yeah, just complete shoulder to the guy jumping over and just knocked him down. He got a half a yard after Bruschi hit him.
Which is crazy. I mean, how does that even happen?
Yeah.
Crockett gets stuffed, and my note here.
Hilariously, it's like a 1.5 feet short, and they still measured.
Yeah.
Right. Well, see, that's that speed, that lack of speed on Crockett's behalf. Otherwise he should have gotten that. But they wore Garner out. They just ran him till his tongue was hanging out, man.
Why was it Crockett and not Wheatley at that point? I would have felt better with Wheatley trying to go through there.
More power, definitely.
Yeah. I just feel like if you need 1 yard in the snow, I'd rather have Tyrone Wheatley than anyone else on that roster.
Well, that's when, as fans, we worry about some of those coaching calls in critical moments. It'd be like Seattle throwing that 1 yard pass.
Oh, I love that call. That call.
I bet you did. Oh my God, and Beast Mode's bringing them all the way down, and they weren't really stopping him, and then you get cute. That's just what I call it in football. You're playing a brutal game, and then you get cute. You want to play.
You're out coaching yourself. That's basically what it comes down to.
The first time that comes up for me is the Patriots in the 2005 AFC Championship. It's 4th and 2, and they throw the out pattern to Kevin Falk, and he gets 1.5 yards. Why are we throwing an out pattern to a 5'11" guy? Like, you need 2 yards. Just go get the 2 yards. Go to somebody tall or just pound it through. I loved Kevin Falk. He's one of my favorite all-time Patriots, but he's 5'11", and you need 2 yards. Why?
And they had that great offensive line too, Evan. He could have hid behind those guys.
Yeah, just go straight. So who knows?
I think when we talk about coaching, this is one of my favorite coaching things here. Just this little subtlety that comes up. So you've got the commentator saying, "Okay, they're going to go after Leckler." They don't. They don't want to risk.
Yeah.
Like that possible roughing the kicker penalty.
Right.
You know that he's not gonna, like as you were mentioning earlier, Wayne. I mean, like
you're not getting a roll.
Yeah, you're not getting everyone. You're not getting a booming punt. You're gonna have not great field position, but it turned out to be pretty good because you're starting on their own 46 206.
Well, that was another fumble though. I mean, Brown returned it and fumbled, and Izzo jumped on it again.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Izzo.
That was
the second one. Larry Izzo was the complete unsung hero of that game for the Patriots.
Yeah,
he had 2 plays, both of them saved turnovers.
So then Falk gets a 7-yard reception, 2-minute warning, and then this all goes to hell. For depending on your point of view, I suppose. Yeah. Brady runs for a first down to the Oakland 42. Then on the next play, everyone thought it was over. The fans thought it was over. The commentators thought it was over. I knew it wasn't over, but I thought it was over. Woodson tackles Brady. Sure looked like a fumble. And then we all learned about a play that a rule I wasn't aware of at the time.
Neither was Phil Simms. Phil Simms is like, there's a word for this rule, and I can't think of what it is. I'm like, you will never forget again, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Right. and that's also too, like, we're really learning the value of that headset, where they're getting all this other information, making them look a lot smarter than they are.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. At this point.
So, yeah. So hold on. So Wayne, what are you thinking at this point?
Game over. That's what I'm thinking. Look, run the clock out, get the hell out of there.
Yeah. So here's what I'm thinking. So they go and review it. And do you guys remember what song? Did you notice what song started playing in the stadium? It's the only song you hear all night.
Is that Rock and Roll Part 2?
Oh, no, that came up. We did play that one too. They don't play that anymore because Gary Glitter has a little bit of an issue.
Obviously.
Oh, a little bit of an issue, yes.
But no, it was the second most widely played song in NFL stadiums. There's a trivia question. For number one
in the Air Tonight?
Is what? In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. Yeah. So
wow.
Phil Collins, Coming in the Air Tonight, starts playing on the radio in the stadium, and I'm sitting there with my buddies, and they're doing this review, and we're all debating it. I say, guys, I don't know what's going to happen, but I can't imagine the season's going to end with fucking Phil Collins.
Wrong with Phil Collins?
Right.
I understand, but again, at that point, I was
the drum solo.
Okay, well, that's why the songs play in the stadium. Like the Ravens, that was their song for stretching, and that was the point of the drum solos where they started getting serious about the stretching. Like that's why it's so widely played. But I was just like, there's no way this isn't gonna go away because Phil Collins.
To your thing, Glenn. Here's what's wrong with Phil Collins. I have one answer. Studio.
Yeah,
that's
you're right.
What's wrong with Phil Collins? What the hell is the studio? What does that mean?
Everyone's got one of those in their catalog. I mean, does Lionel Richie still believe that? Does he still play Dancing on the Ceiling? Like, I mean, this comes to a point. Like, everyone's got something bad.
Yeah, but I know what that means.
What does Dancing on the Ceiling mean?
Yeah, he wanted
to dance on the ceiling, and in the video, he dances on the damn ceiling. Phil just goes in the video. Studio. What is that?
Please tell me that song went to number 1 so you can talk about
it. Actually, next week is the Star Wars theme that went number 1.
John Williams is the man.
No, John Williams didn't do this. It was a disco version.
Wow.
The 70s were great, weren't they? So we've got like five minutes really. I didn't time how long this was, but just
took forever.
Yeah. The announcer is going back, well, wait a minute. And I guess someone's telling them in their ear, well, like maybe it was he had the forward pass. And then you're looking at the replay. Well, no, he's bringing it back in. And then that's sort of like to your thing, Evan, where they said, well, there's the tuck. I think there's something called the tuck.
Yeah.
And
I think everyone watched. That's when I finally got to watch that. Thanks, First Wife. Goddamn bitch. But anyway.
So one of my good friends here in Chicago is a guy named Brooks Sullivan. He's a stand-up comedian, and he is one of the biggest. He's a big Bears fan. He's one of the biggest Michigan fans I've ever met in my entire life. His favorite player of all time is Charles Woodson. The call on this play has made him hate Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback in Michigan history, forever. Completely disown him because he got the benefit of this call and Woodson got screwed.
Teammates in college. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we heard that. Yeah. We heard their lockers were right next to each other. Well, they were somewhere near each other in the same locker room. That was something Phil said during the broadcast. But yeah.
And I'm sure Phil got that in the headset. Well, we're not really sure. You better take that back. You don't want to get sued. And they're just all confused. And then everyone's confused. And again, I know what's going to happen and I'm still confused. And I'm looking at that over and over again. And if I was a Raiders fan, I would have been so pissed off. I have a Raiders fan here. What are you thinking when they make this call, Wayne?
Total belligerence. A tuck rule. First of all, a rule called the tuck rule. He wasn't tucking anything. Now, if I can rant, this is my Rodney Dangerfield. You know. What are you talking about? A tuck? What was he tucking? He got the ball freaking knocked away from him. You know, and they can slow it. They can show it in super slow motion with some molasses attached to it. It still wouldn't change. He got the ball knocked out of his hand, plain and simple.
I have a counter to that, which totally eliminates the tuck rule. And I think I showed you that I sent you the Warren Commission's photos of the Magic Loogie Seinfeld episode thing. He did not get the ball knocked out. If you look at the slow-mo, Woodson catches body and never hits the ball. You see Tom Brady bringing the arm in, bringing his left arm across to cradle it, and he knocks the ball out himself. How that's a tuck rule, I don't get.
I never heard of it.
I mean, he had two hands on the ball and knocked it out with his left hand.
I'm watching like tuck rule. Like, what is this? Someone trying to? He's transgender. He's tucking his cock in. I don't know what the hell this means.
Well, you got to look at it this way, Kurt. Now they're teammates, right? Former teammates. Mm-hmm. And here's Charles couldn't really hit him in practice, so he's lowering the boom on him, and I can get that. You know, you can't touch him. They got the red jersey on. Well, today the jersey was blue with a little red, so I'm knocking the hell out of him.
Yeah, here's the thing too, because I think all of us think the tuck rule is stupid, but they have never changed it.
No, didn't they abolish it in 2013?
I think they took it out.
Yeah, finally
did. Where are my notes?
They took it out.
They did take it out.
Yeah, so because it only took 13 years to say, well, maybe this isn't working.
Wow, I didn't even realize I had taken that out.
Yeah, they took it out.
Huh?
But the fact that they had to go to that, I mean, in this NFL, which you don't know what a reception is anymore, you don't know what a fumble is. I mean, at best, it's inconclusive and call stands on the field. Mm-hmm. But to try to look for this rule that, again, I contend that he got two hands on the ball. So when does the tuck end and he's got his possession back ready to re-up for his throw? I mean, that's what the official wasn't looking for. I mean, he was concentrating on what looked like him pulling the ball in and Charles Woodson causing the fumble. And slow-mo still frame shows Woodson getting Brady's shoulder, never really coming into contact with the ball.
This is also before they would sort of like go to New York for all the replays. Also.
Yes, it was all on that one official looking under the hood.
And again, that one official was Walt
Coleman.
Yeah. And again, that's probably the case for full-time officials, which we still don't have in this league.
So Wayne, how many times has Mr. Coleman been in your house?
Not ever, and not ever will. Yeah. Even if he's in town.
So I just went, by the way, online and I just went online and it's 2013 was when it was eliminated. The final vote was 29-1. Yeah. What was the one team that voted against? The two teams abstained. The Redskins and Patriots both abstained.
Actually, if I remember right, it's Pittsburgh.
It's the Steelers, yeah, which is weird. They're like, oh, they screwed over the Raiders. We hate the Raiders.
Yeah, leave it in there.
You gotta keep it in there.
Keep it in there.
As a souvenir.
You'd have to know some history to figure that one out, man. It's you talk about some battles, man.
And then they do a shot of like after they make the announcement, Patriots fans go crazy, which of course they do. Then you look at Belichick, who still looks miserable. Like, you just got a second life and you look like that. Chucky looks okay. Like, it's like,
well, I thought Al was going to have a heart attack
he's sprinted up the sideline.
I was also feeling from what I was reading too, and Wayne, you could probably speak on this better on that. That was almost the beginning of end for Gruden there, because from what I read, Al Davis was so pissed off that Gruden wasn't more animated or pissed off and challenged that.
Right. Yeah, he was a little bit too cool for that one, because I know every fan that I talked to was about to bust their TV screens.
Mm-hmm. And
well, could he have challenged it though? Because it was
that was within 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, you're gonna challenge.
Challengeable?
Well, no, because everything goes to it was under 2 minutes, so it's already going. So that's why it was reviewed in the first place.
Right.
If this would have happened probably the 2 minute, 2 second, this doesn't get reviewed.
No,
one's even looking at it.
I was saying, Kurt, that it gave them enough time to make phone calls to the appropriate person and get the okay to make that call. That's a conspiracy that will never die.
Right up there with Patrick Ewing getting picked number 1 in that frozen
the frozen envelope.
the frozen envelope, which worked out well for the Knicks and their 0 championships. But who was going to beat Jordan? But at this point, the game's not over.
No.
It's Second Life, so you've got to like shake this, which is next to impossible. I mean, it's like when you and I, Glenn, did episode 1 when we talked about the Bill Buchner game.
Yeah. There was still time left.
You know, like you don't,
the whole game 7 they had a shot at.
Yeah, sorry. Just by the way, the Bill Buchner game should be the Calvin Schiraldi game as a Red Sox fan. Just
Calvin Schiraldi game. Okay.
Yeah. So Bill Buchner gets completely unfairly. I mean, he made the error, but he should never have been that game. Dave Stapleton should have been at first base.
Yeah, and we discussed that in the series that they wanted Buchner to be on the field when the last out was made and he'd be celebrating.
Yeah, but Dave Stapleton should have been in that game. So my brother and dad were a third row in on the first baseline for that game, and that was not one of my dad's favorite sports memories.
Well, so we continue. Patton gets a first down to the Oakland 28, and it couldn't go any further than that. And then this is where we get what's considered, although looking at what Janikowski did, because that's how I remembered it in my head, as the greatest field goal of all time. I don't know that I necessarily feel that way anymore, but it was certainly the most clutch. It sort of takes a little bit more out of it after watching what Janikowski did earlier. But nevertheless, the winner writes history. Vinatieri puts a 45 right through the uprights.
He made it by like 2 feet. It barely got over.
And because of that hard ball. Yep.
Yeah.
But, he did what he needed to do. Overtime, 13-13. New England wins the toss.
Because, of course, we do. That's what we do.
Yes.
If there's one thing you can guarantee, if there's an overtime, the Patriots win the toss. I don't know how, but that's how it works.
Yeah, and at this point, it's kind of anticlimactic, because that's also when, if you win the toss, in overtime, you're probably going to win the game.
Ridiculous percentage at the time.
Yeah. Redmond, 21-yard reception. Then Wiggins, a first down to the Oakland 34. They can't get it any. Well, no, they get to the 28. Then a first down to Patton to the 24. Then a couple rushes to the 23-yard field goal, and a game. But the story doesn't end here. As we talked earlier, this was the end for Gruden in Oakland. And so the first question, I guess to you, Wayne. So when Gruden leaves for Tampa, what's your first thought? Like, did you know that was coming?
No, we had no idea. And we figured Tampa Bay, we're good riddance, and we're feeling pretty good about ourselves, the following season. And
rightfully so.
But it comes back and bites us in the ass, so to speak, because, and these are stories that I had verified by a few players that were still left there. Coach Callahan was so sure of himself that he's figuring, okay, we're facing our old head coach. Let's switch a few things up. Bill would never walk into a trap like that, but Callahan refused to change cadences, schemes, and a couple of players, and I won't name them, for not get sued. But during the game, Tampa Bay's defense is calling out what play it is.
I think I remember reading something about that.
Yeah, and it was real stuff, real stories. And they're looking at each other like, how the fuck do they know what we're getting ready to call? That's just how, and us watching it, we're like, how do they know they're in the right spot at the right time? Every time, something's fishy here. And, of course, the deal with the center going AWOL kind of messed with Gannon's confidence a bit,
That was the player I was trying to remember. Okay.
Yeah. And it was just brutal to watch, man.
Didn't you go to Mexico or something?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Why let a guy go when you know he has this issue? Let him go by himself. That was rule number one. You always go with company. But like I say, that kind of wrote history for us, man. And the worst ass whipping in the Super Bowl that I've witnessed.
Yeah. I have to say, the one thing that was interesting during the game, I don't know if you noticed, was at one point on the sidelines, the Raiders were calling defensive calls with colored cards.
Yes.
Did you notice that?
Yeah. Yeah.
They had a green
before.
card at one point, a red card at another point, everything like that. It may have been.
I think it was that they were paranoid that somebody had, put a bug in their headsets or something, man. But I had never seen that before.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's that easy to figure out, if you have any history with Oakland and they're still doing stuff like that, it may not have been that hard for them to do it in the Super Bowl. Is all I'm saying, for Gruden to figure it out.
So then from the flip side, we have New England, Vinatieri. Some people have called that kick that launched the dynasty, which you could argue that, and it's because they did go on to win that year's Super Bowl, beating the Rams, and they would win 6.
Right.
Yeah, and so many things.
Could have been 9, could have been 2, but yeah, we've won 6.
Yeah.
Well, you know that phrase they call turning point in every game. Well, that was a turning point in that team's history, basically, in my eyesight.
And then both. I mean,
that was a turning point in Boston sports because when I was a kid, when this game happens, I had just had my 23rd birthday, right? So, January 20. My birthday is January 5th, so I just had my 23rd birthday when this happened. So last time I had seen a championship was 1986 with the Celtics, and since then we had other than that Celtics championship, my first memory is us getting shellacked by the Bears. Then the 87 Celtics fell apart. The 86 Red Sox had their terrible time. The 90 Bruins got killed by 90 Bruins got killed
Edmonton.
by the Oilers.
The Oilers, yeah.
Like, it was just like loss after loss after loss in championships for like 16 years. And it's hard to think about that. And the Patriots won that Super Bowl and then 2 more. And then the Red Sox break the curse. And then it's like the almost perfect season, and everything changed in Boston on that Super Bowl. I remember talking to my dad. My dad at that point my dad was born 28. So he's 74 at that point, or 73 because he hadn't had his birthday yet. 73 at that point. And both of us for like weeks were like, the Patriots won this, like, not that game, but like the Super Bowl. The Patriots won the Super Bowl. Like, it's just the black sheep. Because make no mistake about it, the Red Sox were number 1 in Boston at that point. The Bruins were probably 2 ahead of the Celtics. So Celtics teams weren't the greatest around then. And with the Celtics being 3, and then the Patriots are a distant 4th. Like, it wasn't even close. And now the Patriots are number 1. So
the cat's meow.
Yeah. So I mean, we had a down year last year where we went 7-9. Like, we even lose 10 games in our awful year. And like, it's weird. It's this weird. When I was a kid, I was like, man, it'd be great to be a 49ers fan. They just are always good. They're always winning. The Patriots are like not good. And then all of a sudden we're the 49ers times 2. And I was like, it's weird. It's weird to be at the top for that long.
Well, that's the beautiful thing about sports fandom. You can be a fan of a dud team. Because growing up, I mean, the Patriots, I don't want to say a laughing stock, but they weren't on national television. They weren't really thought much of. I see you got Patriot Pat there, but that was, to me, was always a goofy thing on the helmet to me.
I mean, we replaced it with the Flying Elvis, so
that's
like that was there's a whole conspiracy theory about that, because before Kraft bought the team, there was serious talk about the Patriots moving to St. Louis and becoming the St. Louis Patriots. And if you cut the face off of the Patriots logo, there's just kind of like that flag, sort of flaggy thing. Like, that'd be great for whatever the team is in St. Louis. They're just setting it up for that. And up until then Hartford was going to get the team, and then Kraft took over and everything changed. But yeah, that was the last game for old Foxborough Schaefer near Sullivan Stadium, possibly the worst stadium ever to be a permanent home of a professional sports team in the United States.
I've been to Orchard Park.
Oh.
You know, why you got to go there? No, Evan, you're right. I think I saw a Dave Matthews concert there at Foxborough, and we went in, and obviously we're not there to see a football game with Dave Matthews, and I think Ben Folds and Ben Harper.
We're at the same concert, Glenn.
Okay, then yeah, we were at the same concert. But yeah, I walk into the stadium, and my friend was working for whatever weather company there, and we had the tickets. I think the day before she got her company's Red Sox tickets. So saw the Orioles and Red Sox, and Cal Ripken was playing third at the time. So we go to that game, and then I walk into Foxborough. I'm looking around like, this is an NFL stadium? That was my first initial thought. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, you're right. That was not a great stadium.
No. And it ended with clearly the 15th best game in NFL history, but really not a good game to let out. It was kind of the perfect fitting game, last game for that stadium.
Yeah.
So
well, I guess that ends episode 4. Thank you all for being part of this. I don't know what episode 5 is going to be. Glenn will think of something. We always do. Maybe we'll go back to the Battle of the Network Stars. That was fun.
Hey, Wayne, I'm amazed how calm you were about this. Even your rant was not as unhinged as I thought it was going to be.
No, man, it's been so many years, Evan, and it still hurts just thinking about it. Even when I got the topic of the show, I'm like, oh my God, I got to talk about that. But just understanding how the game goes, the ebb and flows of teams rising and falling, and it just wasn't our year. We were not going to represent the AFC that year, come hell or high water, and it kind of. I'm kind of okay with it, but that whole tough route, the way it transpired, would never be forgotten, ever.
Yeah. Here's a question: if the Raiders win that game, do you think the Raiders go on to beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh?
That would have been another tough one, man. Because we hadn't had any rest, and that would have been a brutal one, but a hell of a matchup. Just because of the personnel we had on our team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think we could have held our own.
That was a 15-1 Steelers team with Cordell Stewart at the helm. That was
forgot all about that.
Yeah, that was.
I was trying to figure out who quarterbacked that team.
Cordell.
Jeez.
Yeah. So and then of course the Super Bowl, where, I mean, Marshall Faulk is still convinced that the Patriots followed the walkthrough, even though ESPN's printed 400 retractions on that. So
I still have visions of like, oh God, they're going to show another picture. No, stop, camera, stop going on Brenda Warner. Stop.
You didn't like the hairdo?
I don't know how we call them Karens and not Brendas. That's I'll leave it at that.
I think maybe not quite at that point, but shortly thereafter, Brady started dating Tara Reid for a while.
Did he really?
Yeah. So that was a tough time in Patriots history. I think that was the next year after he won the Super Bowl. All of a sudden, Tara Reid was in the owner's box.
Well, like, what was there like when that was happening? Were a lot of people thinking Tara Reid was a jinx, like they did in Dallas with when Jessica Simpson was dating
Jessica?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I don't know. I think it was that year, because I think the year he dated Tara Reid is the year we didn't make the playoffs. So I guess
blame poor Tara Reid.
My God, Tara Reid. At one point in time, man, but that seems so long ago.
Well, it is long ago.
Yeah, I mean, American Pie. Tara
Brady is still playing somehow.
Right, absolutely. Hey, hats off to it, man. Showing what true grit is.
Do you think he ever looks at Tara Reid and like how she's kind of not aged all particularly well and thinks, no, that never happened.
Dodged the bullet.
Yeah, or just like it's like when I know I'm getting old when. Well, here's when I knew I was getting old: when the songs that made me feel old became 18. You know, it's like when when all the emo stuff, and I was like, what the hell is this? This makes no sense.
Hey, my favorite radio station is still whatever they play when I go shopping in the grocery store.
When did this happen?
That's when you know you're old. You're walking through frozen foods. You're all also like
you're grooving in the supermarket.
Man.
You know,
I can't believe they're playing. I can't believe they're playing Collective Soul right now.
Oh God. I'll close with this. Abe Simpson to Homer Simpson. I used to know what it was, and then they changed what it is, and what it is now is strange, and it's gonna happen to you.
Yeah,
I'm paraphrasing a bit, but no way, Dad. I'm gonna rock all along, and then you don't. Wow, this went on a counter.
That's a story we can all live with right there.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen to you eventually.
Absolutely. That's why when I was young, I never made age jokes, because either I'm gonna get old or I'm gonna die. There's no other possibility here. There's only two forks in this road.
We used to kind of snicker about the elderly, and my mom had this saying, "Live on," and that I've never forgotten that. Live on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know why she said it.
Yeah. Man, I really ended this on a downer, didn't I?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you know, it happens.
Yeah.
I felt bad for Wayne, and now I feel bad for all of us.
With that, thank you, gentlemen. We'll see everyone soon. Stay safe, everybody.
All right. Pleasure.
Yeah.
Guys, take care.
Awesome. Take care, guys.
All righty.